Prentice Gill is joining us. Thanks for the time, Coach.
No problem, no problem.
We'll go straight to questions using the raise hand function. Please use the raise hand function if you have a question for Coach. Start off with Michelle.
Hey, Coach, we've seen and heard a lot of really good things about Elijah Badger thus far. What is your take on him and where he's come in the last year?
He's superior athletically. Really just got to clean up a lot of technique things, but I mean, he plays hard. Definitely a playmaker. He's a natural playmaker, and I think that when we're going live, I think we really haven't even seen his best ability because I think he's really good with the ball in his hand. But really just want to clean up stuff technically. He's a little raw at the receiver spot technical wise, but I mean he has all of the tools, and I think you've seen him make some big catches and kicking. He can go, he can run. So I think his ceiling is high. We just got to keep working.
Trevor.
Hey, Prentice, is there anyone in your room who looks like they've just made a lot of progress since the season ended? And if so, who and in what ways?
Chad for sure. Chad has come a long way. Looks like he belongs now. Looks like he's in college. So I'm really, really excited about him. I hate that he's out a couple more days because of turf toe, but I think he's probably made the biggest turn. Dre always is constantly getting better. And honestly, LV was good last year. I mean, he shocked me, but he's gotten a lot better. And I, was a little worried about that when him missing so much of winter workouts, with his family deal. But I'll probably say those three guys, but definitely Chad for sure.
Mac.
Hey, Coach, you kind of hit on it, but I wanted to ask about Andre Johnson. Had a big spring ball last year, came in and got some time during the season. How much more has he been evolving this spring and going into next season?
He's been evolving a lot. The good thing about Dre is he kind of stays even keel. You can coach him hard, and he's not sensitive to it, and he takes it. And I think he's been playing well this spring. He's been making a lot of plays. He always gives you a couple moments where kind of like, Dre, what are you doing? But he's good, man. He's young. That's the thing about Dre. He's super young. So the whole group is young. The oldest guy in the group is 20 years old. That's the bright spot about the whole deal.
Michael.
Yeah, Coach, with that development too, I mean, obviously with what you guys had coming back in the defense, how great is it for these receivers to be challenged by the defense and the secondary in general?
Oh, it's great. I mean, those guys have seen a lot of ball. You're talking about, especially that first group, right? I mean, you're talking about Jack, Chase, Evan. Oh, Evan's not out there, but Jack, Chase, DP, JC. Really the whole group. When you think about it, they've seen a lot of ball. Chase has started for 4 years. Jack has basically started for 4 years. And same thing with DP when he was at Boise. And those guys are all 23 and 24 years old. So, the good thing is we don't have to play against them on Saturday, but they give us a really good look, and they challenge us, and I'm just happy that we're starting to give them what they're giving us, and I feel like in the first 4 days of spring ball you saw that, and there are going to be some days where they just take the day, and that's expected with a group that's played that many games and seen that much football.
Carson.
Hey, Coach, where do you think the group is sort of at in their development of their ability to read the defense, and then also just sort of their comfort level in the second year with this system?
I couldn't hear the last part. They're comfortable.
Their comfort level in year two with the Zach Hill system.
I think that's probably one of the biggest things. They're very comfortable in the system. The defense reading part I think it's getting better. It's not where I would like it to be yet, but it's getting a lot better. And I just think us now understanding what Coach Hill is trying to get out of the calls and out of the motions and the shifts. We're not just doing it just to do it anymore. We're kind of doing it with a purpose, and I think that's the reason why the offense has looked, so much better. We're light years of where we were at last year with spring ball.
Christian.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned, you have a very deep room this year, but also, you and Coach Hawkins really pulling guys out of Southern California has really elevated the talent level of the whole team. How are you sort of starting to see that build year over year as the talent level improves?
Really just, the guys that you bring in now, they're getting to play, and you're seeing where they develop. It's almost like, if you start at a certain level, everybody's going to usually go up. Everybody with play and development and drills, they're going to get better. So you try to get guys, regardless of where they're from. Obviously, SoCal has been a big deal for us, but we try to recruit nationally, and if you can get guys that start here, then they'll get to here faster. And if you get guys that start here, they get there faster. So you just keep trying to out recruit the next class, and You know, like I told Junior Alexander I was on the phone. He asked me, "What am I doing?" I'm like, "I'm trying to out recruit you." You know, so that's kind of the mindset. You know, you get a guy, you try to out recruit him, and you try to out recruit the next guy, and the goal is that you get to a point to where you can't out recruit the next guy, which means that you're getting the best guys. So,
A few more questions for Coach Michael.
Yeah, Coach, with that too, I mean, how do you feel the running backs obviously had a great year last year, but how do you feel that they add to the passing game this year? Are they going to add more to it?
you mean are the running backs going to have
the
more to
running
it?
backs? Like, how do you see them like as receivers, and what can they add to the passing game?
Oh yeah, well I mean Chip has worked really hard on catching the ball, and I think that he's made himself at least an asset in the pass game to be able to get out the backfield and catch the ball. But I mean, if I'm being honest, Rashad is almost like a receiver. I mean, he can run routes, he catches the ball very, very natural. I think that Rashad helps us a lot in the pass game, and we're working on some things in the office that we haven't done yet in practice that is going to get him more involved in it. And I think that that's going to give us obviously some matchups on some backers, but in general, we'll have to throw the ball a lot better. Our pass game will have to be better if we want to win the big games. It's great that we can run the ball, but you got to be balanced in order to keep the defense on its heels.
Question, Michelle.
Yeah, Coach, everybody wants to have a go-to receiver, the marquee guy, whether it's N'Keal Harry or Brandon Ayuk. Is this more of a unit that you see? It might be more of a group effort as opposed to having that one guy that emerges?
I mean, I would like it to be a group effort, but if I'm being honest, I would also like it to go the other way too. I'm looking for a marquee receiver. I want somebody to pop. And I tell them and try to challenge them with that every day. Obviously it's always good when a whole group effort is there, because then the defense can't key in. And the goal is to get a marquee guy and maybe get two marquee guys, and then the group effort, the rest of the group that's coming in and that's helping, for them to be elite at that too, but I do see this group right now develop it as a group effort. But I am looking for somebody to just, stand out. I'm looking for somebody to do that. And LV has had some days where he's done that, but I'm looking for somebody to do that every day and just be special.
Robert Rodriguez is joining us. Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
We'll go straight to questions using the raised hand function. Please use the raised hand function. If you have a question for Coach, start off with Chris.
Hey, Robert, can you talk about guys who have improved from last year, maybe Stanley Lambert or Joe Moore or other guys like that?
I think you nailed it right in the head, because Joe Moore is it's a competition between who has been the most improved between Stanley and Joe. Obviously with various guys who've had to miss time, those young guys have had to make a jump. So I'm really proud of both Joe and Stanley, how much progress they've made from the last game to here. I was starting to see those steps in those last two games with both those guys, but they've made progress in the right direction. They still got a ways to go as an all-around defensive ends, but those two guys stand out in my mind.
Just to follow up, what sort of things specifically have they done to enable that?
Both of them are playing faster. They're playing with much better body lean. Their technique has improved exponentially, and the angles that they take to the football have gotten better. When they get to the contact point, right when they're about to make contact with the offensive lineman in pass sets, they're more aggressive and they're protecting their bodies better, and they're just playing with better balance all the way around. And they're starting to implement pass rush moves. They're not just trying to run around guys. So that's the biggest thing. With Joe, it's night and day. His ability to go break people down and actually become a fully rounded pass rusher, those steps you're starting to see those things take hold. So I'm really excited about those guys' future. If we played a game today, I don't think I'd be 100% confident that those guys could play a lot for us, but I see in the horizon those guys can be those guys sooner rather than later. So I'm optimistic.
Michelle.
Hey, Coach, can you kind of update us on your guys that are coming off injuries, be it Stephon Wright, I guess Tyler Johnson, and Mary Johnson, who was out all of last year, kind of where they are and when you expect them to be able to go kind of full speed again?
Yeah, I'd love to, Michelle, but that, out of respect for Coach Herm, I'm going to allow him to discuss timetables and things of that nature. What I will say is those guys have all been great in the classroom. Obviously, they won't be back this spring, so I'll let Coach Herm handle those things, but those guys are all doing the right things. And mentally, they're still engaged, and I expect them all to contribute when they come back.
Ode?
Hey, Robert, I know Stanley Lambert is one player that's kind of been through hell and back with a serious injury back in 2018. But I would say that since he got here, he's probably playing his best football. I know you only got to coach him since last year, but can you talk about the advancements that Stanley has made in specific?
Yeah, all I can tell you is what I've seen with my own eyes. And it's a different guy. It's light years ahead of where he was last year. When we first got him, it was honestly, hey, look, he hasn't really stuck and been able to find it anywhere else. What do you think? And I was excited. I saw a guy with a great skill set. But his first day in there, you could just tell it was very, very foreign to him. So Stanley's had to make a lot of changes, both physically, but more so mentally and emotionally. You got to get your mind right to do some of the things that the defensive line is asked to do. And to do it every day consistently, it takes you got to be a little bit tougher, and you got to be a little bit more accepting of pain and punishment. So he has done those things. I'm really tipping my hat off to Stanley for the changes he's made off the field. He's a more disciplined person. He's engaged. He has made so much improvement, and we are allowed to check to see what guys are watching film away from this building, and Stanley's one of my top guys. So he's earned it, and he's getting better because he's putting in the work, and he's really sacrificing to do it. So I'm very proud of him. He's got, like I said, he's got a ways to go, but that kid has really made a lot of sacrifices mentally to get to where he's at right now.
Christian?
Yeah, Coach, I just got to say, watching you when you coach the drills, it's clear, how much energy and passion you have. But the one thing I thought was interesting was how you're really encouraging your guys to embrace loving the monotony of the drills and just going through it over and over again and refining their technique each time. How does that, incorporate into your overall coaching philosophy with those guys?
Well, the thing about good defensive linemen, I think sometimes we talk too much about them being athletes, and you forget you're right in front of the man that's going to punch you in the face. Somebody's going to hit you on every single play. And so you have to train your body to do things that are unnatural, to do them unconsciously. And so you can't wait and say, I need to get my hands up. Your hands need to be up. And if you don't train them to do that, they're not going to be there on game day. They're going to let you down. And so there's a lot of coaches that come from the philosophy of keep things fresh, switch things up. It's like you got to entertain them. And what I'm trying to tell these guys is I can entertain you, but your muscle memory is going to let you down on game day. You better not expect it to do anything but what you've taught it to do. And so you have to embrace the grind on a daily basis, because at the end of the day, when the ball snapped on game day, your habits will come through for you, whether they're good or bad. And if you're going to be a great defensive lineman in our technique, which is very, very fundamentally sound, then comfort and greatness are on two different roads. They're not on the same road. And so you have got to get uncomfortable, accept that, embrace it, and understand that I'm uncomfortable because I'm doing the tough things that other guys aren't doing. It's going to make me great because they're not willing to do these things. They might not even know that they need to do these things. But trying to be comfortable and having too much fun and saying, oh, we did this drill, this drill. It ain't about drills. It's about the consistency of your muscle memory when the ball is snapped.
A few more questions. Michael?
Yeah, Coach, overall, though, how do you feel that the chemistry and the communication with the defense has evolved? Obviously, a short season last year, but from the end of the season last year until now through this part through the spring.
I think there's a different there's a different confidence in the room. All the guys that came back, I think they feel like we can be really, really good. And I think the expectations are higher. But I also think that the standard, it remains high. And they're just walking with a bit more confidence as a group. I think we have leaders emerging that are truly leaders. They've been here a long time. And I point to guys like, like Black and Chase. And, those guys are taking leadership roles. We've got guys in our room like Matus, who's really emerging as a leader in our room. Those are all guys who they went out there and put it on the field last year. And I didn't see that as much as I see it now. And so I see just a little bit more confidence in their step as they walk around. We're expecting to win. The standard is higher. We're not as accepting of mistakes. And as a defensive line, we have got to get back to that place we were last year. Those guys were hungry and they wanted to prove to the world that they weren't, the redheaded stepchildren. And I want to get that edge back. I think, as I want them to be confident, but I think what made us great last year was our willing to sacrifice and do whatever it takes. And so that's where we're focused as a defensive line. But as a defense as a whole, I think we've got great leadership, and I think we got a lot of guys who can make plays. So there's a lot more confidence in the league.
Michelle?
I got two questions, Coach. One, you may not answer this one either, but obviously Jermaine Lole is dealing with a lot, and he's away from the team right now. Can you say if you expect him back at the end of spring practice, or what his time frame might be? And the second question is,
he'll be back. Yeah, the things that have kept him away are things that I can't even get into. It has to do with his family's in California. Obviously, he's been through a profound amount of loss this year, and so I think I really appreciate Herm and Ray and everyone who has decided to take care of him and allow him to not just grieve, but be there to support his mother and his family. But he'll be back. He'll be back sooner than later. I don't know exactly. I mean, I do, but again, I'll defer to Coach Edwards. I'll let Coach Herm handle that. But I expect him to be back. I don't know if he'll be back in enough time to participate in spring ball, but he's already participating in class, albeit off campus. But nonetheless, he'll be back here with us sooner rather than later.
and my follow-up question on that was, did you exceed the expectations you had for this group last year, or was the performance what you thought that they would do?
Wow, that's a good question, because I'm trying to put myself in the same place last year, and my expectations are high. So I don't think we exceeded it, but I think it's still, maybe I guess I did. In the back of my head, I have these expectations, they're standards, but maybe expectations could be different, I guess. But when we started so quickly getting to the quarterback and creating pressure and doing good things, I was just really energized by that. I think I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I expected to be there more growing pains. But at that Oregon State game, that offensive line did a heck of a job and challenged us. And for a second there, our defensive line didn't respond the way we wanted them to. They went back to old habits. We got it, focused on the sideline, got back to basics, and finished that game the right way. So I guess to answer your question, Michelle, I'm sorry. I think we exceeded them a little bit, and but all they did is just raise that bar. So now the expectations are going to stay higher and higher.
Last question, Gabe.
Coach, you mentioned habits and such. What can you implement this year, or what are you trying to implement this year that you didn't get to last year?
There's another level to pass rush, to having second, third, fourth moves that are ready to go. There's a lot more that we can do in terms of our pass rush and in games and things of that nature. And so there's always another level you can reach. The biggest thing, though, is consistency. We did some stuff that I'm going to put on my teach tape because we did things exactly the way you want it done. And I don't care if you're the Minnesota Vikings or Valley View Middle School. That's how you want it done. So there's some Sun Devils on my teach tape now. The problem is that it needs to be more consistent. It needs to look like that more consistently. And so that's what I'm really looking for, is doing things the right way 9 out of 10 instead of 6 out of 10. And that's when we're going to start to become the type of defensive line that passes it down. Everybody comes into this system, has that foundation under them. And no matter who goes into the game, the expectation of good, fundamental, aggressive, hard-nosed football, it stays the same. You don't have to worry about when that guy's in and when that guy's in. Doesn't matter. If you're a Sun Devil D lineman, you're out there and you're doing it the right way, and you can expect good production and great football and great effort.
Thanks for the time, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Y'all can say hi when you come to practice. You can, wave and stuff. Don't be strangers.
You're like a mile away from us.
Hey, that's not my fault now. Come on now. You guys know I got a loud voice. I can hear you guys.
I'll scream at you, Coach.
Appreciate you guys.
Shawn Slocum joining us next.
Hello.
Shawn Slocum joining us. Thanks for the time, Coach.
All right.
Go straight to questions using the raised hand function. Please use the raise hand function if you have a question for Coach. First up, Michelle.
Hey, Coach, obviously you're going to have competition for pretty much every position. Can you kind of tell us what's going on with the return, kick return, punt return? Because it seems like you have a lot of options there.
Well, first of all, I think you'd begin in the punt return part of it, talking about Rashad White. He continues to develop and has been good at practice. He's catching the ball really well. Behind him, we've recruited a number of receivers and DBs that had good return skills, and so we do have a crowded field. And part of spring training is making some determinations what direction we're going to move forward when we get to training camp. And I think you'll see guys like DJ is also DJ Taylor is also a punt returner as well as being the kickoff returner. But we've got Elijah Badger, we've got Jack Jones is still in the picture. We've got LV Bunkley. There's a number of guys back there that have the ability to do it, and so that helps us kickoff return wise. We'll start off with DJ, obviously from what he did last year, but there's a number of these the skill kids can do it.
Christian?
Yeah, Coach, sort of in that vein, do you foresee, rotating a lot of guys through that role, or do you think you'll sort of settle on one or two at each and just sort of go with that?
We'll definitely settle probably 2 to 3 in each, and then those are the guys that will get the primary reps in practice. And so we'll get game ready when we get to training camp. Right now, it's about player development and us identifying the guys that need to fit in the different areas.
Jeff? Jeff?
When you had somebody like DJ Taylor do what he did last year, I guess, how do you build on that? And also, what do you expect people are going to do to try to defend against him now that they know how talented he is back there?
Well, the first part of that question, he's a young player that's he learns something every day, and there's a lot to that. And so he's been great about the learning part of it, and things come up in practice. We're trying to practice good on good. And when I say that, we've got maybe our number one kickoff return team on the field with the best of the rest kickoff coverage team. So we're getting good speed in our face and getting good work in that regard. And then I've forgotten the second part of your question. What was it?
Well, just how you expect people will try to defend him now, given what he was able to do last year. How much does that change now that people really realize what he can do?
Well, I think we'll have to deal, number one, with different kick locations. I think if you look back at our 2019 game against USC, that's what people will attempt to do. Brandon Ayuk took the first kickoff out past the 25 from deep in the end zone. Then the next one, they kicked it deep again, and he went 98 yards, I believe it was. And then, so from that point on, they started kicking the ball all over the field. Well, we had a number of skilled players in the back end of that, so we had great field position. I believe after you averaged the average starting position in that ball game was at plus territory. It was on USC side of the field. So if we have that, if we're getting that those type of kicks from our opponents, then we'll be able to deal with it and try to create good field position. And so that means that we're going to have a number of players backed up back there that can catch the ball and have the ability to advance it and put us in good field position. So that's what I pretty much expect, is that they'll change up the types of kicks that they give us.
Christian?
Yeah, Coach, obviously you have, an elite punter with Michael, and at kicker, you got some talented guys. You got a lot of depth in that room. How do you see the place kicking competition, playing out moving forward?
Well, it's a competition on a daily basis, and we've got 3 young men here that are doing that, and they're all improving quite a bit. So I've been really happy with the first, 7 practices that we're improving the way we are. We've also got a young man coming in that we signed in this past class, Eddie Zaplicki, that will join the young men that we have here, and so. it's good competition, and the best guy will be a good player.
Questions for coach using the raised hand function. Michelle?
Yeah, Coach, I had heard that Zendejas left, then came back, and then he left again. Is he part of the mix, or is he not part of the mix?
Right now, he's not part of the mix. He's an awesome young man. He's graduating this spring, so he's looking at other options. And he's been a great teammate and has a history here, and so he's part of the family. He'll always be part of our family.
Any other questions for coach? All right, thanks for the time, coach.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.